Welcome or welcome back. This week I want to talk about how books have been changing and how I think they will continue to change, because there's a whole lot of literacy involved stuff going on in the US right now, and I feel like it is changing books and how we consume them in a way that I don't really like. And I wanted to talk about it. I have a whole little list of my thoughts, and we're gonna go through them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just jump on in. So first I want to talk about some things I have observed in books lately. Like simple language being used, very like cookie cutter storylines, and spelling and grammar mistakes, which is like a whole other thing. But the simple language I've started noticing more in like specifically romance books. They have changed a lot since I was younger, and I didn't really read romance like as a kid, and I had a higher reading level, so like books with romance, it was like a little sketchy. My mom had to read anything that I wanted to read before giving it to me, because she didn't want me reading anything that I should not be reading at my age. Did that stop anybody from reading things they shouldn't be reading? No, but it's the thought that counts. And it has made books easier to consume for a lot of people. Using more like simplified casual language is not bad. That's not something we should get rid of completely. I just feel that not all, but like a lot of books are starting to become more simplified, and the reading level I feel like has changed drastically, like for adults specifically. And that's sad, because I like to have a challenge when I read. I like to learn new words. I like that stuff. So I find myself tending to reach more for like classics, or like really like language heavy books, I guess you could say. I still like some simple books sometimes, don't get me wrong. I love breezing through a cute little romance in a couple days, but I digress on that one. The cookie cutter stories, I feel, also is more geared toward romance, and even like horrors and thrillers sometimes. I have found that if an author finds a story that works and it sticks, a lot of other authors start writing very similar stories, because they know that people like that type of story and will buy it. So I wish that it wasn't like that. I want all authors to like have their own creative force. I hate it when they write books simply because they will sell easier. I feel like if your writing is good enough, it should sell anyway, but that might just be me. I am also super addicted to those stupid little TikTok dramas, so obviously I do enjoy consuming the same story over and over again. I don't know. Spelling and grammar mistakes isn't so much like the author or the writer's problem. I think that this is geared more towards like editing, and it sucks because mistakes happen. Like, a human going through something is going to make mistakes, and that is fine. But I feel like we've gotten to a point where people rely too heavily on AI to catch writing mistakes or like spell check, things like that, when one, those applications don't always catch the mistakes, and two, sometimes they fix mistakes that were in no need of being fixed and they make them incorrect. And I hate that. And I have seen many more typos and grammar mistakes in books that have been published more recently than I have in any of my older books that I have had for a long, like since a childhood, or ones that have been published like long before I existed. And I feel like we should probably just get back to hiring an editor that can do a very good job and paying them. I'll be the editor. I'll go through and I'll fix things because it frustrates me to no end when I see spelling and grammar mistakes in the books I read. It baffles me. That's my rant on those little opinions. Now I want to talk about the bigger picture, so we're just gonna get a little bit heavy for a few minutes. So I think everybody is aware that in the US of A, we have a big literacy crisis happening. And it's very upsetting because how did we let it get this way? I forget the exact statistics, but it's like almost half of adults in America read at or below a 6th grade level. That is completely insane to me. When I was even in elementary school, it was common for us to read at a level higher than that. I was in 4th grade reading at an 11th grade level. One of my friends was in 4th grade reading at a college level. Like, what happened? I don't know about everybody else that I went to school with. I was not close to them, so I did not ask questions like that. But we were all tested on our literacy, and we all met or exceeded the level that we should have been at our age. Most of us. I'm sure there were some that didn't, but there's nothing wrong with that. There are some that just have a harder time. And there are some students or adults with something like dyslexia, which makes it more difficult to read and consume written text. That is fine. But I think that this literary crisis has been evolving over time because of the way that we teach has been changing and the methods that we use to teach have changed. Tech-based learning and teaching does not actually benefit young minds. There have been multiple studies that say using technology to teach in schools is doing more harm than good. Having excess screen time for young developing brains can stunt development. And I think that is a big piece of the literary crisis that we're having. And it is a personal belief of mine that with how convenient life has gotten in America, we're all getting a little bit lazy, in my opinion. Like, I love audiobooks. I think that audiobooks are a very valid way to consume books or any other type of reading. Of course, we need accessibility for those who can't physically read a book. Somebody with extreme dyslexia, somebody who is blind. We need options for them, and I don't have an issue with that. But when you are constantly having something read for you and you don't have to practice that skill and like maintain that, your literacy can decline. Sadly. What else do I have? AI. Oh, AI makes me so very mad. And I feel that there are certain places where AI is okay. Oh God, there's a bus outside. That sucks. We don't need AI to be writing stories for us. We don't need AI to be coming up with ideas for us. And I hate that there are people out there that are using AI to write something for them. You could just go get a ghostwriter. If you don't think that you could carry out the story in the way that you want it to be carried out, you can hire a ghostwriter. ChatGPT doesn't need to write books for us. Other AI don't need to write books for us. Oh my God, the trucks. Going back to teaching, we're not teaching phonics anymore. Teachers are teaching students how to read with memorization of words. And that is why they have so much trouble reading things where those words are put in different situations in different contexts. That is sad. We need to bring back phonics in schools. I am begging and pleading. Please bring back phonics in schools. Oh, I did actually write it down. 44% of adults are reading at or below 6th grade level. 21% of adults in America are functionally illiterate, meaning they can read just enough to function in a basic setting. But beyond that, they qualify as illiterate. And that is sad. I work in special education, and students with special needs tend to have difficulty in literacy. But I swear my students, a lot of them are reading better than all of these neurotypical adults out here. And I'm very proud of them. I tell them I'm proud of them all the time. And I wish that everybody was like that. I wish if my boys can learn these things and practice these skills, anybody else can do it. Like, if one person can do it, many others can. And this ties into books because this lack of literacy and this lack of extensive language translates into books that are written. It makes them very simple. It makes the writing not flow the same way. Like, our literacy affects the way that we write, and the way that we write affects the books we read. Like, that's pretty much it. But I have a couple more things to say to wrap it up. So let me check my notes and see what we're talking about next. Some of my final thoughts are, books are getting easier to read. I feel that books are getting easier to read, depending on what books you're picking up. Now, could some of that just be that I have been practicing reading since I was very small, and I am still working on and improving these skills? Very much could be. But I know a lot of people that are not avid readers and have never been avid readers, and even they agree that a lot of books that are coming out more recently are very easy to read. They're easy to get through. I feel like some of them, I like to call them snack stories, because it's a book that I could finish really quickly. It's like a little snack in between my like big, heavy reads that I like to do. And there's nothing wrong with having easy reads sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. Every time I am in a book slump or a reading slump, I read a nice little fluffy, like easy to read book, and it encourages me to jump back into heavier text. But I feel like if we are constantly reading only these easy to read stories and books, we are not challenging our literacy skills, and the only way that we can improve these skills is to practice and challenge them. That's kind of just how it is. I've also started to notice specifically with romance. A lot of these books are reading the same way that fan fiction reads. And I really don't have a problem with that. I grew up on Wattpad, DeviantArt, like Tumblr, all that stuff, AO3. I still read fan fiction. There's nothing wrong with reading fan fiction. And I kind of love that some of the new books read like fan fiction, because that is easy for me to consume. It is easy to get through. And a lot of authors are being found because of their fan fiction writing, which I think is hilarious. There are so many authors, romance authors, such as, I forget, Allie Hazelwood. She was picked up from a fan fiction that she wrote. And I absolutely love that. We all know that Alchemized was Manacled. That was a fan fiction that a publisher saw and wanted as a book. That I find amazing. But they should not all be like that. I just really want the heavy hitters back. I want more like John Steinbeck, East of Eden type stories. I love A Little Life. I want more stories that are like heavy and emotional and take a lot of thinking and analysis. And I feel like we're straying away from that a little bit more recently. One good thing that has come out of changes in reading and the publishing industry is indie authors. I love seeing indie authors do it without a big publishing firm. I love it because that shows how easy it is to succeed in this field or progress in this field without the help of big publishing houses. We can do it on our own, and it gives a lot more opportunity for new artists, emerging artists, like authors. It's a kind of artist. I want to see more indie authors because you have more creative freedom when you are independently publishing. If you are part of a big publishing house, of course you're going to write your own stories, but not every publishing house is going to treat you like a Rebecca Yarros, like a Sarah J. Maas, where they can write whatever they want and it doesn't matter. A Stephen King. Like, they write whatever they want and it doesn't matter, because no matter what, the things that they write are going to be consumed because of the previous successes. We need more indie authors showing us that you can do whatever story you want and it can be successful. We don't need publishing houses to tell us that we need to write a story that follows this guideline because that's what people are reading and buying. We need to get our creativity back, and we need to challenge ourselves more. That was my TED Talk. I will step down from my soapbox now. I hope that maybe this was a little eye-opening for some people. If you have any opinions, comments, anything, I would love to see them in the comment section. I just have a lot of feelings about this subject lately. But I digress. I'm going. I have chores, so I need to do those before I psych myself out too much. I will see you next week with, I believe, a reading vlog. So I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I hope you do a lot of reading. Challenge your brain, y'all. Happy reading.